Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to My Hero Academia, Season 5, Episode 10. So, I don't know what was going on today, but the day I'm recording this, I zoned out almost completely for three and a half hours. I recorded one piece. So I was recording this all on Tuesday because I couldn't record starting on Monday due to Memorial Day. But I was recording one piece. I took a break for lunch. And then I just completely zoned out. I wasn't even doing much of anything. I was scrolling through Facebook and Twitter and just kind of reacting to some things. There's only a couple things I actually actively was trying to do during this entire time. One of which was a specific reply to a post that was time consuming, but not too bad, I guess. I don't know. Point is, I zoned out completely, and I was almost not going to get to this recording today. I mean, you would still see it on time no matter what, but yeah, it's I wasn't gonna get it pre-recording. So the reason I'm saying this is one, to add a little bit of I don't know, flavor text to the reaction, to the pre-thoughts and everything. But two, also just as a note, in case it starts getting dark at any point, it shouldn't. It shouldn't start getting dark that soon, but because it's only almost 4:30 now. It's just before 4:30, so it shouldn't, but just in case, maybe it's some clouds roll in or something. I don't know. It just felt like the right thing to do to let you guys know. Anyway, okay, so let's get on topic here. My Hero Academia. We're still in the fights. The Bakugo fight finished pretty quickly, and so we're about to start the final match between Class A and B here. Class B, Monama's team, has Shinso working with them for this one, while Deku's team is not really fully prepared in terms of who's on it to take on Monama's team. However, Deku is willing to act as a distraction, a sacrifice. He's willing to be that person in the group who's just okay, I'll lure them away, or I'll lure them around so you can do your thing. And it's not to say that the rest of the team is useless. It's just their quirks aren't, again, the most useful in this specific matchup. But we'll see how it goes. Now, I've said before, I would not mind at all if Class B won this here. Now, Class B can't win overall in who gets the most wins. The most they can do is tie it up. But I would actually be so completely fine with that result if it was tied up, for multiple reasons. Let me go over them. One, it shows Class B as a valid group of heroes in training as well. As I've talked about this before, Class A gets all the spotlight. It's their show, and especially Deku's, obviously. But it's they're our main characters, the characters we follow throughout this series. So yeah, they're going to get the spotlight. But because of it, Class B often feels like they just don't matter as much. And I'm not saying they don't. I'm saying that's how it feels with how the show is presented. And I assume how the manga presents it as well. So because of this, having an arc like this where it's the two sides facing off in a series of mock battles and all, is a fantastic idea to build upon these characters, to give them all this depth. So having it end in a tie would show that Class B is not just falling behind, that they're still actively like becoming heroes too. Second reason why I would like this is it would continue to do what I think the show does really well, and that is making Deku fallible. Deku is a fantastic character because he's fallible. He's not one of those main characters, one of those heroes who either always wins or always overcomes the odds. He fails time and time again. He hurts himself time and time again. He makes mistakes. He doesn't always succeed, and I like that about him. It's the same reason I like Luffy so much in One Piece. He doesn't always succeed. Like, yeah, in the end, they of course saved the day. In the end, these heroes, they'll always come out on top. But they face a lot of troubles along the way. They make a lot of mistakes and they fail a lot of times. They are beaten a lot of times. And I like that. I prefer that to heroes who pretty much always win, who you never really feel any worry for because they always win. So that's another reason why I would not mind seeing Deku and his team lose here and Class B win. Third reason, Shinso. Shinso's team with Class A won in the first match of this set. And I think he should do it again. Now some people might say, oh, but might actually be better if he loses this one to show him kind of the like implications of both winning and losing a scenario like this. And sure, I think that's valid. But at the same time, I also think it's a valid idea that he wins this as well. Because in the first match, remember, he doesn't believe he did well, pretty much at all. He felt very down on himself by his performance. So I think by having him do better here and find more of that confidence and have the team win thanks to him would actually be a huge boost for him and would help him with his goal of getting into the hero course as well. Not that he couldn't if he lost. Like that he could still get further in that goal if he lost, but I'm just saying I feel like it would just work best here to do it that way. Plus, again, if he does get into the hero course, he'd most likely be in Class B, so having him win with Class B would actually lend itself well to the beginnings of a just connection between those characters. I think overall it would be a better choice for Class B to win this. And again, if Class A wins and if it's still done very well, I'll be fine with it. As long as it's done very well and it's not just made like, oh, Class A is just super OP and better than Class B. No. I definitely, if it's done that way, then yeah, that would be bad. But if it's done well, then fine. But we'll have to see. I don't know if we'll see the finale to this match in this episode. Because if we're going based on like half of the season, there's like what, 2-3 episodes left of this arc. So my thoughts are we're going to see most of the match in this episode. We're going to finish out the match next episode and maybe have one more little thing in this arc that takes place in the second half of next episode and then throughout the episode after that. And that's probably where we'll finish off. Unless we just finish off next episode. But I don't think we're finishing the match this episode either way. But we'll have to see. I'm hoping that this ends up being a really good match nonetheless. And let's hope that this arc ends off strong. So, yeah. And as always, if you know what's going to happen or know anything about how it's going to be paced or whatnot, please don't tell me. No spoilers, please. But either way, let's just get this going and see what we've got. So, when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. Choosing a thumbnail for this episode. Like, I could have gone with Monoma. I could have gone with any of the other members of Class B in this match. Could have gone with Deku, and I could have gone with the user. But I wanted to keep it mostly spoiler-free, and it seemed like the thing I would have wanted to go with would have been the user. But I feel like that would probably be a big spoiler, maybe. I mean, even if it's out of context in the thumbnail, I just wanted to be safe, so I just went with Uraraka, because she had a big role to play in this episode. So we begin the final match, and Monoma starts using his high intellect as well as his quirk and whatnot to throw Deku off. With everything that he could do and with everything their team could do, he's trying to manipulate Deku into reacting in certain ways. One big example is Shinso emulates Uraraka's scream at one point, and Monoma's trying to get Deku to react to that, to point out, even just to look in a direction to point out where the others are. Which is a fantastic idea, but Deku does see through it. The only problem is Deku also doesn't know at any given time which quirks Monoma has copied. So it's like there's a lot of variables, as I said in the reaction, to this matchup between Monoma and Deku specifically. So it's interesting to see. We also got to see and find out the quirks of the other members of this team. The one guy can, and I'm talking about this one first because his kind of confuses me. Anywhere he's made an impact, he can make a second stronger impact. That's what I got from it. So if anything he does leaves an impact on something, like let's say he punched a wall and it left a dent, his quirk could cause a second impact to affect the wall, which would be like much notably stronger, right? And I'm trying to figure out how it worked with what was going on, because it looked like he affected Emily. I don't remember her actual name, but I'll go by her hero name, Emily. It looked like it affected her quirk somehow. So I'm not entirely sure what the deal with his is. If anyone could clarify in the comments, please do. Just no spoilers, just clarify what his quirk is in the comments, please. And how it works exactly. But let's talk about Emily. So Emily, which by the way, I love that hero name for her, considering her poltergeist powers. I love her concept, her design, her quirk, her even just her hero name all works well, like this classic horror poltergeist kind of thing. Her ability is clearly like, controlling and moving stuff around telekinetically, kind of very, very much like how a poltergeist would move household objects around. We also see the other girl can shrink or grow things. She can change the size of inanimate objects and stuff. It's a really powerful set of quirks working well together. However, during the match, Deku loses control of All for One. Or One for All, rather. He loses control, of One for All, and these black tendrils start bursting from his wrist and attacking everywhere and dragging him around, throwing him around. He can't control them. It's getting so out of control that it's actually becoming dangerous. We see All Might is actually legitimately scared for what's going on. Even the opponents are kind of like backing off for the second, and Uraraka's trying to stop him. They get Shinso to help, and it's just like it's a really bad thing. I mean, after he gets it under control, thanks to Shinso, they do go right back into the fight, but for that moment, it kind of puts things on pause. And Aizawa and Vlad are even considering stopping it for a moment there, but by the end decide to continue on. So let's talk about Uraraka. So during this, when Deku's quirk goes out of control, she jumps at him to try and calm him down and stop him. And eventually, she's the one who suggests Shinso brainwash him to snap him out of it, which does work. Uraraka has saved Deku before. I mean, hell, the first time they met when they were doing the entrance exam, she saved him by slapping him and making him float. And I like that. Because again, he's the main character, and like I said in the pre-thoughts, I like it when our main character is fallible. When they have issues and they don't always succeed and things go wrong for them. And they have to be helped by others. And seeing Uraraka help him every now and again works. And especially because there's the obvious romantic connection there. Clearly, they're meant to be seen as romantic interests for each other. So it even works even better in that way, having the romantic interest character saving the hero. It's a great concept, and it's executed extremely well. Shinso does lend a hand. He shouts out, having flipped the switch in his mind to get Deku's attention. He yells out, "Fight me," and Deku responds and falls into the brainwashing. Which is like, clearly Deku understood that's what was going on, because he could still hear, he could still notice what was happening and everything. He obviously would have heard Uraraka shout down to Shinso. So he knew that he had to respond there. It's just a matter of getting Shinso to say something to respond to. And it worked. It worked perfectly. It did exactly what it needed to do, but for like a moment after when he was brainwashed, he had another vision. But unlike the vision of the vestiges we saw before, this was a full-on interaction with one of the former users. The spirit of that user captured within the quirk itself and transferred along with the quirk. We find out that this user, that he had a quirk called Black Whip, which is what was happening with Deku, what Deku was unintentionally using out of control. And we see him give advice to Deku on learning to control his emotions in order to not lose control like that as much, which is great advice. And we see this dude, he's kind of like this big tough dude. He comes in yelling and everything, but then he's just genuinely giving really good advice and being really helpful and everything. He's like not a bad dude, just a bit loud, which is fine. It's like, I like characters like that a lot of times. You see that in a lot of different shows where it's like you got this big thug-looking character who's loud and brash and aggressive a lot of times, but has a heart of gold and is just a great person. Like Kuwabara from Yu Yu Hakusho is a huge example of that archetype, or Okuyasu from JoJo Part 4. I've always liked those kind of characters, and Yeah, so it's kind of cool that he seems like he's probably kind of the same archetype there. I would definitely love to know more about him. Like, which user is he? Because he says to Deku, he blatantly says that Deku is going to unlock the quirks of the other users as well. And it makes so much sense that that would happen, but why has it not happened to any previous user? Like, for example, why hasn't All Might unlocked the other quirks? I assume he hasn't. There's been no evidence that he has. In fact, kind of the evidence we've seen points to he hasn't. And I kind of assume that the same probably goes for Nana Shimura, All Might's predecessor. So why haven't the others unlocked each other's quirks yet? Is there a reason that Deku is specifically doing this? If this is the case, if they did unlock each other's quirks before this, then kind of ignore this part, but and don't tell me if they have or not. Again, as I say, I don't want spoilers. But it's like it makes sense that it would happen though, because it's like you can't expect every holder to not have a quirk. Because just because Deku and All Might were born without one, but you have to assume these others probably did. I mean, we know that One for All was created from two different quirks merging together. The quirk that the brother of All for One was born with, as well as the quirk given to him by All for One. So those merge together to create One for All. So it makes sense that when a user would pass it on, they would pass on their quirk that they were born with as well. That would kind of merge into, at least to a degree, One for All. So it kind of makes sense. It just, I don't think I ever thought about it. Like, I just don't think it ever occurred to me. But we're actually seeing it in action, straight up. So I'm wondering where this is going to go. What more are we going to see? Are we going to see Deku Master Black Whip? Or whatever it was called? I'm very, very interested in this. But otherwise, the fight continues. I assume the fight was going to continue on. Obviously, I didn't expect it to happen in this way, but yeah, at the end, Aizawa chooses to let the fight continue on for the time being, and it focused on Shinso, so I feel it's clear that Aizawa wants to continue to give Shinso this chance. And that's fair. That's completely fair. Aizawa's found his own protege. I'm definitely excited, though, for more of what this series has to offer, especially going forward after that. So tell me in the comments below what you thought of this episode of My Hero Academia Season 5, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See you all next time.